Or there's eSword. Yeah, this is an app. Or it's a website. There's also eSword app. eSword. And there's also BibleHub.com. All three of those are really good apps. So you actually go to the scripture. So here's the scripture. Here's Luke 2:12. I press on it, and then I want to go to the interlinear. I'm sorry, it shut down. Something must be getting ready to happen because all of the technology is like, no, we're not working. So when I go to the interlinear, it gives me what those words are. So the Old Testament is based on Hebrew, so but they would give you the Hebrew words. But since we're in the Brit Hadashah, the New Testament, it's going to give me the Greek words. So I scroll down until I see major. And major is right here, major. And what's the Greek word? See if you can pronounce that.
It's almost like fattening.
That's it. That's exactly it.
What is it?
Fattening. Let me see if if the internet's good enough to pronounce it for us. Because in Blue Letter Bible, there's actually, it will pronounce it for you.
5336. Fonte. Fonte.
He says Bonte, P-H-A-N-T, but it's P-T-N-E.
It says a crypt also.
Okay, so if you go there and you look it up, this is also saying, yes, a crib, a fodder, a manger, a stall.
So a crypt, most of the time.
Yeah, it looks like that.
Look like
A crib.
Hold on, don't stop there. Because this is still somebody's. Okay. Well, yes, hold on though, hold on. So what I then do, I'm like, okay, well, where else is this word used? So in the same app, when I click on Fatne, I click on it, it tells me the meaning, and then it will tell me the other scriptures where it's used. So it's used 4 times in the Brit Hadashah. So another place where it's used is Luke 13:15, and the Master Yeshua said unto them, Thou hypocrite, doth not each one of you on the Shabbat loose his ox or his ass from the fattening and lead him away to watering?
Yes.
So is it just the manger?
No.
Is it just the crib? That's where you're loosening your livestock from? You understand what I'm saying?
Understand.
It looks like, wait,
Wow.
maybe it's not what we're thinking.
Right.
Okay, well, Greek is a language kind of like English that has a lot of pinnings from a lot of different places. So some of us believe that, what was the original language?
The original.
Hebrew. Some believe that before Babel and before the world was split into the 70 languages, 70 nations, it was Hebrew. So can we find maybe this word in Hebrew? Okay, well, it wouldn't be fattening because that's Greek.
That's right.
So what might we look up to get what this is? And
Do a
what do
tran-
you think this thing is that they're talking about that you unloosen your animals from on the Shabbat? Maybe a stall, maybe a place where you keep animals. All right, let's see if we can find something. So in Genesis 33:17, it says, Yaakov journeyed to Sukkot and built him a house and made booths for his cattle. Therefore, the name of the place is Sukkot. So we see somebody else who had livestock in the Old Testament, and it called them, the English word they gave was booths. Okay? So if you go to Genesis 33:17, what's that word in the Hebrew? What is it?
Sukkot.
It's
It's
a
55:23.
It is 21.
21?
Yes? What do you have?
55:23.
Yes. Think about it this way. It's Hebrew, it's another language with a completely different alphabet.
Okay.
So when we write it in English, we're trying to mimic what?
Right.
Tell me, what are we trying to mimic?
Hebrew.
We were writing in English.
English. When we choose the English letters to write a Hebrew word, why do we choose the letters that we choose? Because we're trying to make it what? That's exactly correct. We're doing it phonetically. We want it to sound. So whether you spell it sukkah with a K or sukkah with a C, it's the same thing. So don't get hung up on, but in English we spell it differently. It's not an English word. It's a Hebrew word. We're just spelling it in English so if somebody wants to pronounce it.
No, because I was going to write the different meaning. I know we got that. I'm just writing the meaning.
No, go ahead. All right. So there it is, 5521. In the modern Hebrew, it's a Samic, Kaf, and Hey. And one of the ways that you can write it is Sukkah. But you can also write it, usually they would do it S-U-K-K-A-H. Sukkah.
That's the
This is just a way to pronounce it, because the Hebrew letters,
Transliteration.
I printed them out for us.
Yep.
Yeah. Anybody want, anybody didn't have one?
Yeah, this one is in color code.
And they're good to keep, these are thicker. The dots and all.
The dots.
Those are the vowel points.
Yeah.
we're not gonna allow those. Because actually, if you go to the original text, they didn't have vowel points.
They didn't. Right.
So the original text didn't look like this either. That's modern Hebrew. So on there's a picture of the early. It's all the way to the left, and that's what the picture looked like. So well, we're gonna get to this. I don't want to get too bogged down, but
Right.
I can't ever do this without talking about Hebrew. So hopefully your interest has been piqued, and now you have a chart, and you've got resources in the back that can help you go further and how to figure out what these words mean. So let's move forward. So if you look at Leviticus 23:34, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of the 7th month shall be a feast of, what's that word?
Sukkot.
It's the same word, it's sukkah. Now, in Hebrew, they're a little bit, well, not that different. The word is the same, the root is the same, but they'll change the prefix or the suffix to make it plural. For example, moed is appointed time. Moedim is appointed times, it's plural. So you can put something, Mashiach is Messiah. Ha-Mashiach is the Messiah, you know? Ha-Shatan is the accuser. So they put little words in front or afterwards as prefixes and suffixes to just change the meaning. So sometimes when you see sukkah, it won't always be exactly the same, but those three letters, the samic, the kaf, and the, what's the last one? Sukkah. The hay, that'll always be in there. So in Leviticus, the Feast of Tabernacles is the Chag Sukkah. Yeah, Chag is feast. Yeah, it's the sound. It's the, I'm going to spit on you sound. So Chag Sukkah. Yes. So there's the word again. So what I have here, I don't know if you can see it. This is what the original pictograph looked like. So this you'll find now. What's the meaning of that picture? Remember, Hebrew starts from right to left.
Right to left.
So find the picture that looks like this thing. It's slightly different. What is it?
Salmon.
See.
Yes. What is it a picture of?
Like an ant to me. Is it like an ant?
You talking about which one? The first one?
Remember, in Hebrew,
Right to
this
left.
is the first one.
Yeah, that's the first letter.
Right?
You gotta go from right to left.
Okay. So you know what? Just look at this picture. What does that look like? So what would they have in ancient time that might look like that?
A thorn. Sin.
What? A branch?
Yeah, it does look like a branch. What else might it look like?
Maybe a rake or
It
something.
could look like a rake, okay?
Too modern. I was thinking.
It's a picture, one of the interpretations, I've seen more than one, is it's a thorn. You see it pointed at the bottom?
Yeah. You see it?
Yes? It's something that when it sticks in you is not coming out.
Yeah.
You see it? It's a thorn. Okay, what's the second one? The one in the middle, what does that look like a picture of?
That's the
Don't you, y'all should remember that.
Yeah, especially that.
Like a hand, you know?
Do you see the hand?
Yeah.
It's saying stop. Well, it's a cartoon hand. It only has 4 fingers.
Yeah.
Do you see the hand?
Yeah.
Look at the picture. Does that look like this?
It's cough.
Cough.
It's cocked. And it is a hand. What does it mean?
Open.
It's an open palm, and I don't want to get too deep, but if you're holding your palm like this, or like this, or like
It kind of
this,
allows.
it could mean different things.
Yeah, it can.
And so it can mean different things.
Yeah.
If I'm holding my palms out to you like this, then you're thinking what?
Come.
It could be come, or it could be what?
ABC,
Give me. Give me.
Give me.
Or asking for something.
Asking something.
Yeah, give me some.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right?
To receive.
What about this?
Keep it down.
My hands
Calm
like this.
down.
Calm down. That's my grandfather's favorite.
What else?
Calm down. Peace.
Stop or to.
Laying hands.
I could be,
All right.
if I were a
Right.
father, this
Yeah,
might be my what
yeah.
position, my blessing position,
My
right?
blessing
Or this
position.
might be my, you need to calm down, this is my hold you down position.
Right.
But it's all about the palms. Okay, what's that last picture now? You bet that last picture. What does that look like?
Everybody know
Oh.
what? Hey.
What does it look like?
Oh, man.
It looks like a man doing what?
Raising his hand.
Raising his hands, right? Now,
Man with
in the
arms
current
raised.
state
Hey.
of the United States of America,
Man.
where people are colored.
And actually, it's a form of worship.
It can be a worship. It could also be a surrender.
Surrender.
But that's what that is. Hands up,
Right.
right? Okay.
Don't shoot.
So I don't know if you know this. One of the ways that Hebrew is different than English is in Hebrew every letter of a word is a word.
Is a word. Every
Yes.
letter. Yeah, we know. Yeah.
The man
Hey, he's 1, 2, 3. He's 5. Number 5.
Okay.
Look at the first
Hey.
page.
You see, this looks like a ghost man.
It's made a little different on there.
Okay.
But it's still, you see the hand, you see the hands up, and then his body's like that.
Yeah.
Okay? So what I'm saying is how Hebrew, you got it?
Yeah.
Hebrew is different from English because in Hebrew, every letter of a word is a word. And it has its own meaning. And when you put the words together, they create a meaning. So you can just look at the word and figure out what it means just by the pictures. So, because this is, I'm going to just give you the answer to this because it's not,
But you
yes.
said thorn.
Yes, go ahead.
Open palm.
Yes,
Man.
I like you. You gonna try it. Go ahead. Let's see what you come up with.
With raised hands.
Here, let me help you.
But it's a man standing with raised hand. Is we talking about
Here's a hint.
trying to about looking at who's on like sure?
Could be.
Whenever.
It could be.
Alright.
What do you got?
He's got a branch. Tell us more.
I said, here's a hint.
He's waving
Yeah. We wave
Okay.
and pray with
his
it.
palms.
And these, by the way, palms, and they are sticky. This particular palm is like a thorn. It will stick you.
Okay. Anyone else? This is actually, this picture is from a resource that is on here.
Okay, what's this?
I see it. It's the second bullet on the second group of resources. Ancient Hebrew lexicon. Do you see it? So this is, they told me, there's a root. When you see the sonic and the kaf, it tells you the pictograph is a picture of a thorn that can represent protection or something stuck. The kaf is a picture of a hand. It can represent a covering. So when you see sonic and kaf together, it can mean a protective covering, which is very interesting because when the shepherds were out in the field with their flocks and they had to corral their flocks at night, do you know how they did that? They're waiting home. They don't have anything but their staff and maybe their provisions. How did they keep their flocks from wandering away?
Staff.
Thorns.
Tell me more.
So you were saying you keep them away with the sharp.
To keep them together. So when the shepherd wants to go to sleep at night, what does he do?
Build a-
Whiteboard.
He builds a corral.
How?
Builds a corral.
What do you mean? Out of what?
Sticks, branches, anything you
He
find.
gets branches like that. Hold up the branch. He gets brambles. We're in the desert. There are a lot of brambles, thorny brambles, and
Yes.
he builds a hedge around a
So it's
corral. And he's always so beautiful. Sister Dasha should be here because then he positions himself. He's not have a way in and out, right? He becomes the doorway.
Oh, my goodness.
Sound like something?
Yes. Now, Yeshua.
So he's got the protection, he's got the thorns, and the covering that he put together with his hands, and he is the doorway, and that's where he is corralling the sheep.
Now, you know what? You could look at that as Torah.
Yes? You
That's
can do so
Torah.
many things.
You know, because the Torah is the fence, is the protection around us. The instructions that He give us protect us that we don't go out of bounds. And for us to be able, even though the protection's around us, how we stay there is we focus on Him because He's the door. We only look at the door when He comes and when He's there. We always know. He says, looking unto Yeshua, who is the what? The author and the finisher of our faith. We always look to Him. We got the protection around us, but sometimes you might go, but when you look at the door, you know that this is where we gotta go. I can't go around any other way.
And I apologize that my Hebrew is not better, but there, and if you go to the website, you will find several words that will start with those letters, and what you'll find is they all have similar meanings. So in the Hebrew, it's like that. So what I did is I came up with what I thought were the words. So this, the hey can also be behold. So, and the kaf, the hand, can also be to tame, where you can tame an animal. And then we know that the thorn can mean a covering. So behold, Abba Yah will tame Yisrael as He covers Yisrael and provides for support in the wilderness. So that is future.
That's Sukkot.
That's Sukkot. That's not necessarily the only way that you can put those words together to make meaning. There are several. But that was one, and when I read it in the context of the scripture, that's what I came up with using
Can
the
I say
words.
something? I think about, I mean, we're here and we're here like it's a sukkah, but I mean, we have really protection that, but one thing about our sukkahs is that it's made with just natural things. Scripture tells us with trees, branches, and, and
Abba
different
provides the
things.
materials.
Huh?
Abba provides the
Abba
materials.
provides the material and out of protection. And think of it, when they make the sukkahs, you probably you see through, and rain could come through, air, all the elements, you're open to it. You just have a certain amount of shelter. But it's Him that gives you where you don't look. Like in our homes, we got AC and we got heat and all of these different things that we like, like here we didn't have, you remember, and so the man is here, he's fixing this and that. But when you're out in the wilderness and you're under sukkahs made out of just kind of, you would say, flimsy kind of things in a sense, and winds and all kind of things and all kind of elements could come your way. That's when you look to Him, because you know that anything can happen to these things. They're not sturdy. They're not concrete. You know what I mean? They're not things, because you're not looking at that thing as something that as your protection. You're looking at the rock, who is Yeshua. Father, Abba, who has it that in the midst of the elements, as she just said, in the wilderness, who do you trust? Who now do you have to look for? It's not in the things, because people, in storms and stuff, what they tell you, if you're living in if you're in a trailer, get out of the trailer. If you're in your home, go in the most secure place, or some place where you got walls around or something like that. Or people go and they build things under the ground. But you don't have any of these things that bring about a sense of security that you do. But you're under the elements of flimsy things. Who do you have to trust in that wilderness? Only Yah. Only Yah. And did not He protect them for 40 years? In that wilderness. It was his protection.
Right.
You couldn't trust in these things, because they weren't sturdy, concrete, we would say. The only concrete was Yah. That's what I just, that just kind of really.
This is like when you do it there, that's how we protect it, because we get obedience to it.
Yeah. All right, let's continue a little bit further in Leviticus. Go to verse 42. Somebody read verse 42 for me, please. We're still in Leviticus 23, verse 42.
42, right?
Yes.
23, 42. Okay, it says, dwell in booths for 7
We
days.
should do what in booths?
Dwell,
What's that word? Dwell.
live. Set in, unto him.
What y'all give me? Y'all give me the Western viewpoint?
No.
To live, dwell is where you live.
Hang out.
Y'all give me the Western viewpoint?
Hang out then, yeah, I heard hang out, I'm taking that word.
Y'all listening.
I'm like,
I
yeah,
want to
that's
know
what
what
we're
the
supposed to do.
scripture said. What you supposed to do?
It
Dwell.
says
What are you supposed to
It
do?
says to stay in the booth for
Sukkot.
7 days.
What does dwell mean? How do I find out what dwell means?
Look it up.
Look it up where? The dictionary?
It says-
No,
Okay.
I'm looking
In
it up
Merriam-Webster?
in the Hebrew. No, I'm looking
No.
it up in the,
Go to the
Strong's.
Hebrew.
That's what I'm.
What word is that in Hebrew?
That's
Use your
what-
concordance.
Sukkot.
It says you are to live in Sukkot for 7.
But I want the word dwell.
She wants
What
dwell.
does dwell? What's the word
Let me
dwell?
look up the scripture. You gotta give us a little time, cause.
No problem. No problem.
23:42.
23:42.
Can I look at that?
I don't have a concordance on that one.
Oh, you got it already? Well, look at.
Yep. Now, modern Hebrew is gar.
Mine Hebrew is what?
Gar. As we
Well,
yeah, to live. That's just modern Hebrew, though. It's probably different from ancient.
but that's not the word that was used in the scripture in
Right,
this
right.
verse.
Yeah.
So what was the Hebrew word that was used in?
Yasha.
Yes.
34:27.
Yes. The word is yashab.
Shop.
Yod Shin Beit. If you look up the word dwell, it is Hebrew or at Strong's H3427. Yashab. What is Yod?
Hand.
It's y'all look at your list. Yod.
Yo,
Does that sound familiar to anyone? Where do we have the letter Yod?
Yo, hey,
In
what?
the name of Yah.
Yes, that's the first letter in the name of Yah. Yod He Vav He. So Yod is a picture of an arm. It's right here. Okay. What's the next one? Shin. So let's go back to the
Shin
meaning.
is the
What-
head.
Not the head. That's
Oh, you
right.
said, I'm thinking of radish.
But let's go back to
Shin.
Yod for a moment. It's an arm that's outstretched. So what's it doing? What does that mean?
It's connected.
It can be. What else? My arm is like this.
And
What's
shin
the
is
action?
front teeth. Isn't it?
work, throw,
Yes, to work, to throw. You're doing something. It's an action. It's a mighty work. Okay? It can be worship. All right. So shin is a picture of a teeth.
2 teeth, yeah. The teeth.
So it's to press. It's towards the bottom. It's second, third from the
Third
bottom.
from the bottom.
To eat, the number 2. And then the last one is a bait. What letter is bait? It's a picture of a what?
House.
It's a
Of
house.
a house. Okay? So what do you think that means when we put it together? Here
Okay.
are the meanings of Yod, Shin, and Beit.
Oh, okay. I got, wait, just a minute, I got it.
And here are some other scriptures where it's used to dwell. In Genesis 27:44, they don't even call it dwell. In English, they Genesis 27:44, and Yashab with him a few days until thy brother's fury turn away. When they translated it into English, they translated the word tarry. In Genesis 31 and 34, now Rachel had taken the images and put them in the camel's furniture, and Yashab they translated it as what? As sat. What is my point? We've got 3 scriptures in Hebrew that the word was the same, but in
Right.
English the word was what? It was different each time.
Different each time.
Does that concern you?
Yes, much.
Maybe. Might make you want to go and look up those words to see what the Hebrew said.
Mhm.
Because when you're reading the English, you're relying on somebody else's interpretation of what should go there.
Hello, somebody.
Okay?
That's true.
All right. So we see Yah, we see Shin, we see Beit. We see a few different other ways it can be used. I'm just going to go ahead, unless we have a brave soul who wants to put it
So
together.
in other
Yes.
words, it means I would say, to be placed to stay in that house.
Okay.
So even if she sat,
I like
if she
that.
had to stay.
I get it. The placement is the yod, the stay is the shin, and the house is the bait. That makes sense. Because when you, shin is to grit your teeth to hold on to something.
Right.
That makes sense.
Right.
And the yod is the, that works. That works. Anybody else want to try it? There is no wrong answer. All right, I'm going to move ahead. I'm going to give you mine. So a yeshab is a house bait where he, the Father, presses us, shin, so that his mighty work may be created. Because if you think about we're supposed to dwell in sukkahs, why are we dwelling in sukkahs? What was happening to Israel when they were dwelling in the wilderness?
Deliverance. Being delivered.
Who put them in the wilderness?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
Why?
know what? Just as I was saying, in these sukkahs, right? They're fragile. They're not, anything.
Yes.
So in those sukkahs, because realize they came out of Egypt or Mizraim. Yahweh was trying to see, they still had bondage. They were still in bondage. Even though he took them out, they still had the mentality. So being in these, they had to redirect of being suppressed in a place where they were now to understand who really has them. You're no longer under bondage, you're under Yah. But now realizing this is who you have to depend and realize it is He that has set you free. And He's freeing you to know that He's got you.
Hallelujah.
He's got you where no one, even no matter what, even in the flimsiest and the things that seems like you can fall or anything can happen, He has your protection. Knowing in all this time, He's sharpening us, He's changing, transforming us into to come to the place of acknowledging Him, that it is Him. Scripture tells us that acknowledging that He is sovereign, and it is He that has made us and not we of ourselves. We can't do it. We got to depend solely on Him.
So when you read the English, we're just supposed to stay in these booths. But when you look at the Hebrew, there's a reason why we're staying there. It's telling us who put us there. It's telling us what's going to be accomplished. Just in looking at the word for the Hebrew. Just looking at the Shab. All right, well, how did we get here? Right. No, you're right. You're right. That name. Yes. We were trying to figure out what this manger was, what this sukkah, what this booth was, what this place was. So we went back to the Old Testament to see was it there, and it was there. We found it there. We found the place where they kept the animals, and then we looked at the Hebrew and we realized because Abba is so he's so deep. He's like that onion. He's so deep, and everything that he does is a lesson for us. Everything that he does. So let's come back to the New Testament and go back to what we were talking about. So that word, fatne, the manger, fatne. In Revelation 20, so what I did was, what did I do? I looked at some other places where tabernacle showed up because we saw that the booth, the sukkah, was translated as tabernacle. So did we see tabernacle anywhere in the Old Testament, in the New Testament? Revelation 21:3 says, "And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle The skene of the Almighty is with men, and he will dwell. Oh my goodness, we talked about dwelling, right? Remember now, this is Greek, so that's why the words are different. This is the Greek words. And he will skenu with them. Ooh, real similar. Tabernacle is skene,
Right next to
and dwell is skenu. So when words are together like that, it's showing you that they have similar meanings. Okay? And they shall be his people, and Elohim himself shall be with them and be their Elohim. John 1:14, and the word became flesh and skenu among us. And we beheld his splendor, and the splendor as of only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. Ezekiel was talking about a tabernacle. And so, to me, it looks like Ezekiel is the prophetic word that John is speaking about. My tabernacle, it's a different word. This one's Mishkan, so this is in the Sukkot, shall also be with them. I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. Amos goes on. And one day I will raise up the tabernacle, the sukkah, that's one we have seen, of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof. That looks prophetic as well, talking about Yeshua. Hebrews 9:11, but Hamashiach being come a high priest of good things to come by greater, more perfect tabernacle, skene. So what I'm seeing here is that in the Greek, the tabernacle is the skene. It looks real close to the sukkah, or tabernacle, or booth in the Old Testament. All right. You guys look like I've lost you. I'm gonna move forward. Or maybe it's
Here we come.
So was Yeshua, he was tabernacling, was his tabernacling among us foretold? Before he tabernacled among us, the scriptures tell us that, tell anyone who is reading or those at the time it was going to happen?
Yes.
When?
Isaiah.
Was Yeshua foretold? Was his coming foretold?
Yes.
Yes. Isaiah was the one that talked about
But
it.
it is one.
Genesis.
You have a scripture verse? You have a chapter verse?
No, I have to look it up.
No, I got to try
But
to find
one thing is what you got right there, talked about his forecoming, these men here.
Now, when Yeshua was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, there came Magos from the east to Israel. Why did there come Magos or Magi? Y'all know the story?
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't three wise men.
They
They
weren't
brought
wise.
three gifts.
No.
If you look in scripture, the three wise men, it's not, there were three gifts.
Yes.
The gold, the frankincense, and myrrh. Yes, and I think that's where the three wise men came from, because the three gifts. Nowhere in scripture does it say three wise men.
No.
But yet, how did the wise men know where to look?
The stars.
Stars.
Constellation.
What are magi? Did you know the magi in the Old Testament?
And can I just bring in a little bit even before Yeshua? As we read on yesterday, we talked about there in the book of Yasha, with even the same thing with Abraham. There were those magi at that time who foresaw Abraham's birth, and there was one star that swallowed three other stars, and they knew that it was someone who were coming. And even in the book of Yasha, the same thing with Abraham. The same thing with Abraham.
So what do you think a magi is? That's what I want to know.
That's what I was
Astrologer.
Because it say why.
Someone who studies the constellations.
Well, just from this scripture. Is it from this one? Or we'd have to add
There's
sources
many
together.
things we know.
We know that they followed the star, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know they said they knew that there was a king that was born.
I know
So somehow something from the star sent them on this journey
Send them on the journey.
to find the king that was being born that was told of in the stars.
Right.
Y'all
Okay,
okay?
it declares that.
Go ahead. Y'all know Daniel?
Daniel as well.
Daniel the lion's den?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was a wise man.
He was.
If you look at Daniel 2:12-13, read the top one, you'll see that he was standing with the wise men of the king. Balaam, y'all know Balaam?
Yeah.
The story of Balaam and Balak?
Balak.
Okay. Balaam was asked to do what to Israel by the king Balak?
Curse.
he was asked to curse Israel. Y'all don't know that story? And Yah told him before he even went there, don't do it, but he went there anyway. But he could not curse Israel. Although later on
He deceived him in other words.
yes. But he also saw something in the stars. He said, Numbers 24:17, I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Yaakov, and a scepter, the scepter is a sign of the king, shall rise out of Yisrael, and shall smite the corners of Moab.
Yes. The same thing in Revelation, that's right.
So more on the story of the Magi. Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen what? His star in the east. So it tells us that they saw a star. They were looking up in the heavens, and that led them to Yeshua. But how did they know this? Well, we just saw in that Balak gave a prophecy. In Micah we see Bethlehem Ephratah, though be little among the thousands of Yehuda, yet out of thee he shall come forth unto me, that is to be a ruler of Israel. So there were prophecies of this
Even Micah,
ruler
that's one of them that speaks of Yeshua.
that was coming. I promise I'm coming right back. So why doesn't Torah have pictures? I mean, if you got a Torah for kids, it might have pictures. But the original, why did the Father give us pictures? Especially since the letters are pictures. Does Torah have pictures?
To worship.
Do Torah have pictures?
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen it. I didn't see that.
I don't see any in my Bible. It does.
Yeah.
It's in the stars.
Oh.
Job says, 38:32, canst thou bring forth this that word I asked you?
The Mazarah.
It's
In his
scripture.
season.
The Mazarah into his season. Or canst thou guide Arcturus? Anyone know what Arcturus is?
No.
You can find Arcturus today if you Google it.
Miss Abigail,
Yes,
wait
ma'am.
1 second. I'm not trying to hold you up. But your question was asked.
Yes, are the pictures in the scripture.
Right. Okay. And so you say yes, it does, because in Job 38:32, right?
Yeah, I'm not finished explaining it.
Okay, I'm just
Mazarah.
saying, you was moving too fast, I'm just trying to make
Yes.
notes so I can.
Yes, the key word there is the Mazarah.
Okay.
And my question is going to be what is the Mazarah?
Okay.
Anybody have internet?
Thank you.
No one has internet access right now? No one can
Yeah.
look up Arcturus? Look up Arcturus. Arcturus is a term for today. Arcturus wasn't just back then. It's today.
Wait, let me.
What's Arcturus?
Zodiac signs.
Yes. Arcturus is a zodiac sign. What's a zodiac sign?
You know, the things that back in the day we used to use, like Taurus, Gemini.
Okay.
Here it just says stars.
Yeah,
Constellation.
that's like that's what he said is the alignment and the way that it is according to
Alpha
the seasons and
Buddhist.
stuff.
Boots.
Yes. Booties. B-O-O-T-E-S?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, booties.
So Job said it.
Mazarot comes from Mem, Zayin, and Resh, and Hay, which, if you spell it out, pay attention. The harvest of the heads or the chiefs will nourish and separate light from chaos.
Wow.
The zodiac. Talk to me about that. So, okay, these are the signs that we follow that we're not supposed to be following anymore. But tell me more. What are the zodiac?
That's the main, that's the counterfeit of the name, not of the father.
Okay, but if you were just telling somebody in the street what the zodiac was, what's the zodiac?
What
Like a star.
What signs in the stars? Talk to me.
Well, they, according to the space, time, and everything else,
Okay.
your birthday, and the day you're born, and the season, and where the sun, moon, and everything are lined up according to that, your time of birth.
When was the last time you guys looked
And
at
you know
stars?
what, Genesis 1 kind of gives us that in Genesis 1:14. He gave us
I heard you.
he told us that from the very beginning of Scripture. Here in Genesis 1:14, you know, we recite it all the time for the calendar, but it also says for for signs and for seasons.
What did he give
And
us for
days
signs,
and
seasons,
years.
appointed times?
I'm
What
gonna
did he
read
give
one.
us?
Huh?
For his faces and.
But what did he give us for the moon?
The moon, here it
Anything
says.
else?
It says,
Hold on, let's see what the, hold on,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
The planets, did it say that in scripture?
I don't think that's an.
It said sun, it said the sun, the moon,
And
did
the
it say anything else?
It said the stars, sun, moon, and stars.
And
Read it, prophetess. Tell them where
It
you are.
says, and
Tell them where you are.
Elohim
Genesis
said,
where?
oh, Genesis 1 verse 14. And Elohim said, let there be lights in the
Lights in the
firmament
firmament.
of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons.
By the way, that word season is moedim.
Moedim.
It does not mean summer, winter, spring, fall.
No.
It means appointed times, like
Yes.
Sukkot.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And for days and years. And in the next verse it says, and let them be for lights in the firmaments of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so, 16th verse, and Elohim made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also, and Yah set them in the firmaments of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from darkness. Yah saw that it was good. And then I believe in also Psalms 104.
So pause for a moment. So who's doing the ruling? What's doing the ruling? What lights are doing the ruling?
Sun, moon, and stars.
Stars are mentioned.
Stars are mentioned. Yes, ma'am.
I think we're all comfortable with the sun and the moon.
Stars as well
Oh, we
mentioned.
forget the stars. We forget the stars.
We forget the stars.
Prophet, you going to another scripture?
No, well, that was talking about the moon, but I was thinking about the stars. But I could look it up.
There are several in Genesis 37 and 9.
Yeah,
When Joseph was
37,
talking
yeah.
about his brothers, he said, the sun and the moon and the stars made obeisance to me. So we
Y'all
see
see that?
sun, moon, and stars in a lot. There are a lot of scriptures
There
here.
is a lot.
There
of
are
scripture.
14 that just give sun, moon, and stars.
Psalms, 104:19.
And that
I
was,
guess they was like watching, actually, from that bird. That's the stars again. You see what I'm saying? That's why they mentioned, okay, I got it.
That's the person thing, yeah.
So before there was the written word, before there was the written word, the scriptures, there was the word in the heavens. The stars are the word of the Almighty in the heavens. He gave us pictures. If you've ever been to the planetarium and they start talking about Cancer, you know Cancer is what picture? The crab. Pisces is what picture? The fish. Sagittarius is what picture?
It's the scale, that's
Isn't it?
Virgo.
No, Virgo's not the scale. I think Sagittarius is the scale.
Okay, Virgo.
But it just, as I go down the list, you've got pictures, right?
Yeah.
Did you know that for the most part, wherever I go in the world, if I go back in time, that when they look at that constellation, they see the same picture. You don't think that's interesting?
That's wonderful. That's amazing.
Very interesting.
How is it that different cultures and different people are seeing the same? To me, it just looks like a bunch of dots in the sky until the planetarium connects them and you see the picture.
Right.
But they see the same thing. Psalms 19, 1 through 4 says, the heavens proclaim the splendor of the Almighty. The skies display his craftsmanship. Day after day they continue to speak. Night after night they make him known. They speak without a sound or word. Their voice is never heard, yet their message has gone throughout the earth, and their words to all the world. That was just pretty poetry, right?
Right.
not
It's
so.
not literal.
Literal. Yes, it is.
We read that and we read it, oh, that's pretty. What if it's literal?
Yeah.
What if it's exactly what it says? What if the heavens, the stars, the bodies in the heavens are speaking of the Almighty?
It does.
That's the Mazarot. Now, The enemy, the accuser, is a counterfeiter.
Yes.
Most of us don't argue, I don't know, maybe you would. Is the act of sex, a union between a man and a woman, sacred? Is the gift from the Almighty?
Yes.
But is it perverted by the enemy?
Yes.
Yes.
But do we, because it's perverted by the enemy, because they use it to sell cars and music videos and at satanic rituals, do we now say, wait, we can't have sex anymore because it's bad?
No.
No.
We recognize that it was a gift that was counterfeited and used for evil, and that was profaned by the enemy. Is it possible that the stars and the messages that they tell and the Mazzarote, which we now call the zodiac, which is bad, is it possible that the Mazzarote was also a gift? That it's also telling the world the message of the Father? And we have allowed ourselves, because of the counterfeit of the enemy, to not acknowledge the significance of them.
And he gave it to us right from the very beginning of creation.
Okay, for a reason. He does everything for
Everything.
a reason.
What do you know about stars? Talk to me.
I know that.
Brain dump. Stars. What are they?
I think they're almost like diamonds in the sky, but they're beautiful. I mean,
Okay.
they're so many light years away.
Okay, they're far away.
Yeah. And they are, I know they are like an energy source, like
Okay.
a burning.
You know that our sun is a star.
Yes.
The sun is the star that's closest to us.
Yeah.
What about planets?
Stars.
Stars are planets?
not?
They're not planets.
Okay.
Oh, well, I'm asking. I'm trying to figure out what you're saying. What do you say?
Come on, it's big planets.
They are planets. Well, there are planets that you can see in the sky, but planets, from an astronomy perspective, are different than stars. For example, in our solar system, we have how many stars?
Oh, that's billions. Gotta be billions.
In our solar system, we have one star, and it's called the sun.
Oh, you mean within our solar?
And
yeah,
our
right.
solar
That was a good
system,
question.
there is the sun.
Yeah.
How many planets are revolving around that sun?
They used to say 9, but I don't.
It's back to 9. They've
it
upgraded.
is back to
They've
9?
upgraded Pluto back to a planet.
Okay.
He was out for a moment, but now he's back.
Yes, that's what I was
9.
saying.
What, my excellent mother just served us 9 plums? Y'all have learned that? Mars, Venus, Earth, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, just served Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Phew! Biology is my thing, not astronomy. All right. What does Scripture say? Does Scripture talk about stars?
Yeah, we
Yes.
right on something.
How many scriptures do you think talk about stars?
A whole lot.
Yeah, give me a number, just guess.
God talks about them to Abraham.
Just give me a number, if you were to guess.
250.
250 scriptures? All right. Do stars have anything to do with Sukkot?
Yeah.
Yes.
What?
The time of season, the time
The
of.
appointed time.
Okay.
Appointed
They
time.
help us figure out an appointed time. Maybe anything else?
What? What
And
the
what
stars?
stars have to do with Sukkot? Since we are here for Sukkot. In the traditions, when you build your booths, you're supposed to build booths where you can see the stars.
That's what yeah.
Now, I have not found that in scripture,
That's just
but in the
tradition.
tradition, that's what they say. All right.
I haven't seen the stars, not
Yeah, because a lot of us like sukkahs that are completely covered and climate controlled and have indoor. Look, I was thanking the Abba for indoor plumbing last night. I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I don't have to go out into the woods to use the bathroom. But is that what he tells us to do? Is that what he told us to make sukkahs out of? But I'm not here to talk about that.
Wilderness is strength.
Say again?
Maybe there's a wilderness.
A wilderness experience,
Well,
yes.
many are doing it, but, you know,
Yes.
if he tells us, you know.
Not right, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't read the last one. How much is
Yes, how should they help us rejoice? Yes. So I don't expect you to read all these. I just want to show you, I went through the scriptures and I pulled out scriptures on stars. So we got several. Genesis, Exodus, Deuteronomy, Judges, First Chronicles, Nehemiah, Job, several in Job, Psalms, Ecclesiastes, Isaiah. Did you know that there were this many?
No.
Ezekiel, Daniel, Joel, Hebrews, Jude, lots in Revelation.
Yes,
Revelation talks about stars a lot. More about stars, more about stars. Yasher talks about stars.
Oh, yeah.
Is this a story? This is a story you were talking about.
Yeah.
About Abraham. Did you know that Abraham's birth was also foretold by stars?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, we read it last night.
And she didn't know that I was coming before. So when I heard you talking about that, I'm like,
And I didn't know, I sure didn't know, and I'm just, right? Sure didn't know.
Do you know that Enoch talks a lot about stars?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay, lots of stars in Enoch. Now, I think some of the times when he's talking about stars, he's talking about Melachim or angelic beings. But I think some of the times when he's talking about stars, he's talking about the host, the stars, as well. So what do stars have in common with Sukkot? You read Genesis 1 and 14. We've already read, oh, there's another one. How many of you have heard about the Pleiades?
The who? I can't hardly see
Job 31, 38, 31 to 33. Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades or loose the bands of Orion? Anybody know who Orion is? You don't know Orion either? Canst thou bring forth the Mazarel in his season, or canst thou guide Arcturus with this? What did we say Arcturus was?
It was the zodiac
It's a constellation.
constellation.
So is Orion. It's Orion the hunter. It's the one, the 3 stars in a row that are his belt.
Oh, yeah.
And then the Pleiades is a star. In fact, the Pleiades is called the Seven Sisters. In fact, the Pleiades and the Seven Sisters is a car brand. They don't call it Pleiades. Nobody knows which car has as its insignia the 7 stars?
Subaru.
Yes,
Subaru. That's the Japanese name for Pleiades.
wow.
It's the same constellation. Subaru. If next time you see Subaru, you'll see the little stars.
Yeah, you do.
It's the constellation Pleiades. Okay? The heavens, Psalms 19:1, the heavens declare the splendor of Elohim, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. He telleth the number of the stars, he calleth them by their names. So according to scripture, stars have what?
Names.
They have names. My covenant shall be established forever as the moon, as a faithful witness in heaven. There should be stars in there somewhere. Yasher talks about stars, giving times, appointed times. Jeremiah, Revelation talks about stars. Luke, it was 7. Sis.
Now, that's the one she was telling me when
Yes.
Benjamin knew Joseph, he...
Hold on. Let me tell the story.
I'm sorry, yes, tell us.
Y'all know the story of Joseph when he was in Egypt, right? And then his brothers came looking for him, right? And then they brought Benjamin with them. And he was sitting, now, we get that from the scriptures, but if you read that, Yasher, it tells more. It tells, so they didn't know Joseph was Joseph. You with me? And he asked for Benjamin to sit next to him. And Joseph said, well, I heard that your father can divine the stars. Because he taught you guys this. And he says, yes. And Joseph is like, I heard that you guys are looking for your brother. And Benjamin is like, yes. And then, so Joseph asked, I think he asked them to bring whatever the star charter, this divining tool, because that's how they would tell information. He gave it to Benjamin and he said, where do the stars say your brother is? So Benjamin looks at the stars and then he goes, why? Why? What did the stars tell him? According to the book of Yasher, what did the stars tell him?
That he was standing right there.
They told him that
This is your brother.
Your brother's right there next to you.
Yeah.
So they had some knowledge that they were able to find information pertinent to them on the stars, which is what they say they do in astrology, different in astronomy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Something just dawned on me as well, that before, the vision that Joseph had prior, and he says that, you know, there were so many stars, and remember, and he said, and they bowed down.
11 stars.
And the 11 stars. And the brothers, they were like, well, we're going to bow down to you? And then, and even the mother and father, but knowing that the mother wasn't even alive at the time, right? But the thing what really always stuck with me was that Yosef, not Yosef, but Yaakov, his dad, you know, Jacob is, you know, he said, you know, he kind of rebuked him in a sense, but it said that he didn't let it go, in a sense. How, I'm trying to think of how it says that he did that. I have to look it up. You can go ahead. I'm going to find the scripture.
Okay.
Because I don't want to say it wrong, but it always stuck with me. I'm sorry. You can go ahead. I'll find it if you like.
So there's a lot in the book of, what does Revelation say about the stars? What does it tie it to? And even Yeshua. Luke 21:25. There shall be signs in the sun. What kind of signs? Who's talking? In Luke 21:25. And what are they talking about? Don't forget to turn there. Who's talking in Luke 21:25? Y'all don't want to play with me.
21:25.
Yeah. Who's talking?
Yeshua. Yeshua.
Somebody said.
Yeshua.
Yeshua's talking. If you have blue letter Bible, it's red, so it'll be real easy to know. And what's he talking about?
End times.
He's talking about the end times. This is out the mouth of the master. Yeshua says about the end times, and there shall be signs where?
In the heavens.
In the sun, where else? In the moon, where else? In the stars. And upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. So he's saying that the stars are going to give signs about the end times. Yep. But the thing is, I think most of us are okay with expecting that the sun and the moon are just giving us information. The sun is telling us when the years have changed. The sun is telling us when it's daytime. The sun is telling us when it's nighttime. The moon is telling us when it's a new month. The moon is, you know. Oh, right, the eclipse. So we're okay with that, but most of us don't think about the stars anymore. Most of us don't even, and if we do think about the stars, I got some slides coming up. We think about, no, that's a bad thing. That's the zodiac. That's the astronomy. Stay away from that.
Can I?
Yes.